Well, look at us, Betsy. This is episode 5. Is this the final episode of the season?
It is. We're wrapping it up today.
Oh my goodness. It has been such an awesome journey. Betsy Hall, For Their Thoughts, does such amazing work in the community. And I just want to say thank you. And you have to come back for another season because
I
we
sure hope
need
so.
this.
It's been amazing.
Yes, because part of this episode, it's we've been talking about resources and journeys, but it's also about how to connect. And before I get through this, is there any kind of words that you want to say in the beginning here about
Well,
this?
just to kind of, I think you were already there, but just to frame it and recap, is that we've walked through from the 50,000 foot, what is dementia? What is the definition? Demystifying some of the misunderstandings. We've talked about the different types of dementia. We've gone through all Alzheimer's and FTD, and we've talked about resources, but the reality is some of these resources do cost money, and there might not be available depending on where you live in the United States or anywhere, but there are resources that we can have available regardless of our geographic location and our financial situation. And I thought that would be a great way to kind of capstone the season, is talk about how connection can be a resource. So that's
When
what we're
you
going to talk
say
about.
connection, for those that are listening, connection in what way?
It can be in different ways. Today we're going to talk a lot about music. But when you connect with somebody, the communication is more natural. That's smoother. There's not as much friction. You're not focusing anymore on what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong.
Mm.
You're focusing on the moment that you're having with them. And so we'll kind of talk about that and unpack that a little bit. And that might mean differently for different people on how they get to that connection. But if you have a connection mindset instead of getting the task done mindset, then now all of a sudden everything's about quality time.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that if I can. Um, One of my best girlfriend's mother had Alzheimer's, and she received flowers. And although she was in the later stages of Alzheimer's, just having those flowers there for that time, it brought her present moment. And even though it was just that present moment and it lasted for however long that present moment was, but seeing those flowers and passing by it for about, how long flowers last, a week or whatever, she was present with those flowers and she knew, oh, those are the flowers that so and so gave me out of the blue. And I think is that what you're talking about?
No,
A way in?
exactly, a way to connect to the emotional side. And I'll just kind of maybe cap it with this, and then we can bring Larry in. Is that a healthy brain? We are very logically driven. Things like determination, responsibility, accomplishments really, really matter to us. But we were taught that. That is something that we grew as we got older. But emotions we've had since the day we were born. We literally came out crying. And in most dementia cases, the amygdala, which is your fight or flight part of your brain, is firing and pretty protected. And so, but if we know that, we can harness the concept of emotions as a resource and focusing on those emotions. Forget about logic. And those flowers made your friend happy. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Which means that she's going to be more cooperative. She's going to be more calm, because she's going to be more in a positive emotional state. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what we mean by connecting. You're channeling and kind of focusing on those positive emotions.
Yeah, it's something how just beauty seems to connect people. Flowers, oceans, and then we have music.
Yes.
So I think this is an awesome time. Would you like to introduce this? For those that are in the studio, we have Larry in the studio, and he has this awesome shirt on that says "Hear Norma's Voice." And what is this in the hashtag? What is that, Larry?
And Alzheimer's.
Okay, so we're going to have Betsy introduce you and talk a little bit about this music connection.
Larry, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
So Larry and I, we met a couple years back via Facebook, and I'll let you explain that a little bit more. But Larry and Norma have really changed my vantage point on how I look at music and connection. And there's no one better to explain this than Larry. So
welcome, Larry.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I'll also include with your connection when you were mentioning the flowers. It actually, you can connect with the beauty of the flowers. It gives you a different focus. It can make your mind go and appreciate what you're looking at. And that's another thing that my mother also, she loved flowers. So if I took her to a nursery, this woman would open up. And even though she wants to buy everything and anything in the store, it just gave her an opportunity to open her mind to what she loved most of her life. So
even for a moment.
Even for a moment.
Yeah.
We're looking for moments when you're talking about dementia and Alzheimer's. And specifically with Alzheimer's, when I talk about my mom, we had a lot of moments with music playing in the kitchen after dinner or out in the park that we visited. And mom was able to remember from way back when, the old Ray Charles or Etta James or just those oldies, that she grew up with. And then she reacted to it. And I never knew it until I started playing it and then starting to see her response. And those responses not only turned into smiles from her and myself, but when I posted those same videos on Facebook, they actually impacted millions of people around the world.
So that's actually a perfect segue to kind of like set it up so I met you via Facebook when Jamie, our co-founder, and we were in a lot of caregiving groups. One is former caregivers ourselves, but also to kind of understand what the needs our caregivers are. And Jamie, just every day she'd be like, Betsy, you just gotta watch these videos of Norma. Like, you just like her eyebrows up and down, and she's just singing, and she's like, because there's so much hardship on some of the Facebook groups. I mean, dementia is a heavy topic, and it weighs people down. And like Facebook is a safe place for you to just let it all out, and that means a lot of negative. But then there was this shining light that was in these groups and this beautiful voice, and we were about to, for our annual Move FTT, Move Mile a Day challenge, we were going to feature music for the whole 5 weeks. And so I was like, you know what, he probably is not going to reply, but like, let's just try to reach out to this Larry guy. He's got like, I don't know, like 50, 60,000 followers or something like that. He's not going to reply, but we're going to try. So we like reached out and we're like, hey, we would just love to talk a little bit more about like what this journey is with this guy who takes his mom to the park and just plays music, and she just comes alive every day. And next thing you know, ring, 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 Larry's calling me. And, just I think the rest is history almost.
With Betsy's contact, number one, she was calling me from where I moved back from, because I lived in Carlsbad at that point in time. But taking care of mom, I was back in Baltimore, and having somebody contact me from home, and then finding out we had mutual friends on Facebook, I said, but we gotta build this somehow. And what Betsy's mentioned about with mom, it wasn't just a matter of just singing to the songs we played, the music I played, but as her facial antics, her gestures with her hands. I tell people that's not the same woman we grew up with, but it was another personality that came out because of music. She enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. All those people that saw her videos loved her to death, and I recognize this is it. This is what I'm using to bring joy to our situation that was still just so stressful.
Yeah.
So how did that all start? Like, it's kind of backing up, like because you moved to go take care of her.
Relocated
and
back
so
to
maybe
Baltimore,
just kind of
yes.
like chronologically, just kind of like break it down a little bit of, the start, because we are finding with every person we talk to, the journey's a little bit different. And I think hearing that helps the audience realize that like it's okay that maybe you were a little late to the game, or like it was a work in progress trying to figure it out. So like, how did you end up in Baltimore, and how did you end up at the park?
being in California, 3,000 miles away from Baltimore, I was unaware of all those changes that were going on with my mother. My mom lived alone, and my brothers pretty much oversaw her care. She was a very independent person. You never complained about anything that went on, but they continually checked in on her. She unfortunately had an accident at home where she broke her ankle and had to go into the hospital and then rehab. And that's when the doctors had said that she has Alzheimer's. And so that's when we became aware, or for that matter, my brothers became aware. And my brother Howard is the one that took it upon himself to make sure that now she has the care back in her home, because we needed somebody there 24/7. So we did have a caregiver that came in. And when the caregiver wasn't there, my brother was there taking care of her, taking her on vacations, overseeing doctor's visits, along with taking care of his own kids, and so on and so on. And he did that for a number of years. And I get emotional talking about this because he did it without complaining. And I did not see that from a distance until it finally broke him, where you recognize you don't really have a semblance of a normal life and you're constantly dealing with it. Now, we wanted to, and he did take care of our mom uh, in the best way he could, along with his family and his job and so on and so on. But eventually it takes that toll, which people have to understand, that caregiving does take a toll on you, regardless of how much help you have. It still takes a toll on, because you're watching your loved one go through this disease. But once he said that, he reached out to my other siblings and said, I need a break. I took a leave of absence from my job for 3 months in 2013 and went home for 3 months to take care of mom, thinking that, oh, I'm just watching over her. And this broke me in 2 weeks, recognizing or not recognizing what it takes to deal with Alzheimer's in those early stages, the sundowners, the repetitive questions, and so on. And the frustrations, or the patience I thought I had, I did not have enough. Yet you start to learn over time that, okay, well, I have to adapt to this. And when I look at FTT and I recognize the tools that they give a caregiver, if I'd have known then what I know now, it makes a big difference. A caregiver has to prepare for the journey they're going to go on. The more information you can give them in those early stages helps them. And I always say, if you help the caregiver, you've helped the loved one with the disease. For me, I went home and did that for 3 months and recognized I was still coming back to California. So I had a little bit of strength to get me through my brief journey. And it was a great break for my brother, because he had not had that. But I came back to California, and after a number of months said I was going to go back. And I did have an opportunity by resigning my job, and I went back for an entire year. And that's when I really, really learned, the challenges that you go through day in, day out, 24/7, pretty much. And even with, I always consider myself the luckiest caregiver, because we had a caregiver that came in 7 days a week for 12 hours, paid for by insurance, as a matter of fact. And I had brothers and a sister that would give me a break whenever I needed it. But even going through that, or having all those resources, you still go through watching your loved one go through the decline of what Alzheimer's or dementia can bring on, and the challenges it's going to give you to say, well, what am I going to do in the next part of my life? I don't know how long this is going to last. And you want it to last because you want your loved one to be there. But the challenges that went through on that second time I went home in 2014 got me to the point where depression hit. Some family dynamics went on, and I mentioned to people now that it got to the point where I tried to commit suicide. That's how low you get. But I recognize you hurt more than you help at that situation. And then knowing that I was the luckiest caregiver in the world, like I said, with all that help, it makes me wonder, what about those individuals that don't have the siblings, that don't have the finances, that don't have that help to get them through their journey? And that made me realize I had to stay around to help others. So, that was my second time home. And I actually went home a third time, which was the last time just prior to mom passing. And that was 5 years of taking care of her as you started to see the decline. But I also recognized that I found that tool, that music, that interaction, not just between she and I, but taking her to the park that we went to almost 5-6 times a week to interact with other people that came up to hear her sing, or we just bounced into on the boardwalk, that absolutely loved her, and mom loved them in return. So when I started to see that change in her, that's when I definitely recognized that there are people too that need love and interaction and hugs and and compliments and opportunities to be able to ask questions, and that opened her up. People could say, I never knew your mom doesn't look like she has Alzheimer's, because she had something other than staring at a TV or out a window, for majority of the day.
It's that connection. And so we got a little bit about how you came to this.
Mhm.
So how, like, following piggyback on what Betsy asked,
The music.
and then how did you start to put it on Facebook? Because I'm sure that came first, right?
Well, we were blessed to have a mother that had been in music all her life. She sang with the Baltimore Symphony Chorus for over 24 years, multiple choruses that she performed literally in lots of different parts of the world. And that was her love. And being able to put on a playlist, create a playlist on an iPhone that had, I just basically YouTubed the 20 most popular classical songs and just let that play on a loop. Most of those classical songs could
But
be
how did
15
you
minutes.
know to, I mean,
I
yeah.
knew that she loved this music.
Okay.
So I gave that to her to listen to because that's what she responded to. That's what she knew.
You gave her the music that you knew that she would respond
That she would
not
respond
just
to.
whatever's on the radio today.
Correct. You recognize that you can listen to music and enjoy a tune, but if you can't assimilate to it because you don't recognize it, well, you can only enjoy it to a certain extent. But if you play that music that they've known for most of their life, hopefully that'll connect. And eventually, it's not a matter of playing it enough. It was just that they have that inside them that they're going to react somewhere along the line. You don't have to necessarily sing it. You can hum it. You can tap your toes. But when I started to see the reactions that my mom got from this music, which turned into, oh my goodness, look what we got here. People have to see this. I mean, I was originally just videotaping it and sending it to family and friends. And they were kind of wacky and funny and everything, which was great because, again, she's enjoying herself. I'm enjoying myself. And a friend of mine who I sent it to said, you need to put this on. It was a website called Molly's Movement. It's to help dementia and Alzheimer's caregivers. And I thought it was kind of out of place because Betsy had said, when you go on some of these, it's very sad and depressing because people are just trying to find help to help them get through their days and their sad parts. And when I put one of the videos there, the response I got was, we need to see this. We need to know and show that you can still have enjoyment in life, even suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's, that you can present something to your loved one that hopefully will help. I can't say 100% of the time because certain people are at advanced stages and you have to find that something that they definitely can connect to. And I was lucky with Mom that the 50 most popular classical songs I got off of YouTube and was able to download on a playlist, this woman knew every single thing. And because when she was in the chorus, she performed a lot of those pieces. If you ever said her to do Hallelujah, this woman would go crazy with facial movements and everything. And I started getting responses on Facebook and YouTube that, thank you for letting us see this, not just in your mom, but I have something to show and do with my loved one, to play that music. And I'm getting responses. Thank you for showing me something that helps me help my loved one. And my community grew, and it grew and grew and grew just from me sharing the videos that I did. I mean, we used to make 5, 6, 7, sometimes 10 videos in a day, just how whatever her mood was, how many people stopped by to see us that she would entertain, because I got more out of it. When people used to ask me, how you take care of yourself during this? And I started realizing I was looking forward to the next day because it was another opportunity for me to do something new with her, for her to enjoy and for others to enjoy, not just who we perform for in the park, but those that we're connecting with on Facebook.
Wait a minute. We already got to the park and got concerts. Wait a minute.
Yeah, well, there were some mini concerts. We had times where we sat in this one area right on the lake. There were like 7 different picnic tables and people would come out there for lunch, and Mom would want to basically get everybody's attention. I turned the music up loud and she's waving hands. I want you to be able to be part of this. And people just absolutely loved her. People came to the park looking for Mom.
And I want to add, and I think we should play a clip, is that it was like you watched her coming live. And because sometimes she'd be kind of quiet at the beginning of the song, and maybe she would just be sitting, humming along and with her eyes closed. And next thing you know, her hands start moving and her eyes start going. And then she sings. And sometimes she's singing with a song, and other times she's making up a song, depending on what's going on. And it just I could see why it brought you joy.
Oh my goodness. That saved me. That saved me. I still went to bed tearing up at night because of seeing her go through what she's going through. But I could also come back and look at the video we did from that day, or read some comments from people that were sending me responses from the previous day's videos. And I know the clip that we'll eventually play, Mom loved chocolate. That was her thing. And I joked with her one day going to the park, and I said, Mom, yeah, Hershey's Kiss, you want some chocolate? And I just said, hey, Mom, sing a song for chocolate. The woman broke out right there, and she makes up a new song every single time for chocolate. Sing a song for chocolate, and it could be anything. I can't even do it, but I just had to sit back and listen to her. And then I started realizing at those moments that she was creating that song, her mind is working. I don't care if she makes up a song, a word that doesn't make a sense. As long as it rhymed in the song, that's what what counted. And they became so viral on Facebook that people from around the world sent her chocolate. I mean, we wound up with over 85 pounds of chocolate from 20 different countries.
Oh my
I
word.
ate well. I'll put it that way.
Oh wow.
But it's still to this day. I mean, I literally have maybe 300 or 400 videos of her singing a song for chocolate. And every single one is different. That's what drove me. She enjoyed those moments, and of course she got chocolate in return. And I enjoyed that moment because Mom wasn't having Alzheimer's at this one moment.
Can I ask a question in that?
Mhm.
Is that, and it's a tough question, but I think it's a grounding, important question, is that, did your mom know who you were?
A majority of the times, no.
Mhm.
But again, these are things that I try to emphasize to Alzheimer's caregivers, or basically anybody as a caregiver, is to understand it's a disease. It's not them. People would ask, is this your son? And she would look at me, are you my son? And I just took it with a grain of salt because it's the disease. And occasionally say, yeah, this is my son, but she couldn't say which one. So it does not mean it does not hurt from time to time. And I never captured a lot of those moments on videotape because they were so spontaneous, number one. But a couple of them did come through where, she had asked me, are you Lawrence? I said, yes. Well, why are you Lawrence? I said, well, you named me. But I want to compose myself. I don't want to be upset because then that triggers her to be upset. Not just because she doesn't know who I am, but then she's confused as to why she does not remember her own son.
And you never said, don't you remember, Mom?
I
said I'm sure we all
said that in the beginning when I did not understand the disease.
Yeah.
Which is another thing caregivers that are just about to go through this journey need to learn those things of how to react when those moments are going to happen, and they're going to happen on a frequent basis. And whether or not I'm a burly guy and have supervised more than 50 people on an assembly line and dealt with all kinds of serious issues, those little things with my mom can break me just like that. Because it's a realization again that this is not something that's going to get better, but at least you're there for them.
Yeah, thank you. So is it time for
I think so. I think this is a perfect segue into hearing Norma.
So we're going to play a little audio now of Norma. This is Larry's mom.
Can you sing them a song for chocolate?
Singing for chocolate.
Sing a song for chocolate. Oh, oh, oh. And if you like it, oh, oh, oh. If you want some chocolate, then you know it's the best that you can find to show. Oh, 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 chocolate, 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 chocolate. Right?
Is that a song?
Isn't it?
It's a song because you sang it.
All right.
All right. All right. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Wave. Bow. Bow. There you go.
That was absolutely precious. And thank you so much for sharing your mother, not just with us now, but with us then, and the impact. It's quite moving. And thank you. And unfortunately, those that are just listening to the audio podcast, they won't see the candy cane.
The headpieces are just another aspect, because I only bought her some rabbit ears, and then over 6 years she had literally more than 300 pairs of headpieces sent to her from 20 different countries also.
My word.
I'm telling you, we were really thin.
Okay.
Just pause and say that again. 300 headpieces.
Plus.
Wow.
20 different countries.
Every single holiday was represented. Country flags from all over, New Zealand, Thailand, Ukraine.
Oh my word.
And again, that aspect of being able to share her on Facebook. And I recommend for those that have an opportunity to go to my Facebook page.
And what is it? Because that's what I was going to ask.
It's Larry A. Griner on Facebook. Or you can even Google me and you'll find me there too. So
same as Instagram. Is it across all social media platforms?
If you put my name in, yes, you will be able to find me.
So do an internet search and on your name, and both Instagram and Facebook will come up.
They should.
Okay.
Yes.
Please proceed. I just want to make sure.
And again, the story that we had on Facebook with the small videos was just definitely the interactions that Mom and I had that went viral, and then eventually became national news. There was actually a CBS piece that was done on Mom in Baltimore that won an Emmy Award. With how she dealt with Alzheimer's and her history with the Baltimore Symphony Chorus and how the music came back, but she can't remember her son and those things. So there's opportunities to be able to learn more from not just my story, but in general, those that do go through dementia or Alzheimer's, and some of the success stories that people have to be able to connect with their loved one. I say it's not about me. It's about everybody, but it is about me on how I did it with Mom, and how it helped a lot of other people also to be able to help their loved one. And that's, why I do what I do and continue to want to help.
Well, thank you for that. And I know we're starting to come towards the end of this amazing journey, and so fun listening to Mom. We have some 5 questions. Well, three questions that we had. 3 questions. Betsy knows.
Don't worry,
what
this
is
isn't a test, not 5. So 3 questions that we like to end with is, what advice would you give to someone new to caregiving? What advice would you give to that first remove, to that friend, to the family, maybe even your past self when you were 3,000 miles away, before you really got into the thick of things? What advice would you give to them? And then the final question, just kind of, what's the one word, tangible resource that you felt changed your path?
Well, the first thing I would say, definitely for those that are just about to start their journey or on their journey, and I can combine that with those that are family members or friends or so on, is that don't be intimidated by Alzheimer's or dementia. Don't be intimidated by what a caregiver is going to go through. It is hard. You don't know, again, I say caregivers, unless you walked in our shoes, do you truly understand the emotional toll that we go through. But you can help. You can definitely make a difference in helping another caregiver, whether or not it's family or friend, to be there to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. Hey, can I come over and spend a little bit of time with you? Because that little break is what gives us the moments, even as a caregiver, to help us to know that we're not alone, because it is a lonely, lonely journey.
Gives you a recharge.
It's a recharge, and it's also given awareness to others to understand what you're going through. Because it's amazing, in a room you go into, I guarantee you more than 50 or 60% of those people have some kind of connection with knowing somebody with the disease, knowing somebody that's a caregiver or has been a caregiver or is being a caregiver at that time. And then knowing that this is going to continue to grow, it is community that really helps you get there. You can't necessarily stay overnight and all that kind of stuff, but if you can give an hour or two, that makes a big difference. People don't understand that. For me, the opportunity to have a family that it was a team thing that we did. I wanted them to go to live their lives. I actually moved back into the house, slept in the twin bed that I grew up on, and slept
Aw.
over mom for 6+ years. And I recognize the most important things in life aren't where you sleep in or, all your toys that you have when you grow up with. It's the happiness that you have with your parents that you're losing time with.
Mm.
Even if they don't have a disease, being able to spend that time with them. I have those regrets of not spending more time because I was out living my life. But, I think there's not a single caregiver in the world would say that they wouldn't do what they're doing ever again or having the opportunity to have them back.
Oh, thank you.
Because you learn as you go. Again, the opportunity to be able to teach those that are going through it, and here's something that worked for me. Let me help you get through your journey. You can't stop the disease from progressing, unfortunately, but I can hopefully help you create some moments that you're going to enjoy day to day to day that you can look forward to, and your loved one's going to have the same opportunity to have some enjoyment in their life during that journey. There's so much more you can say about that. And then the last question was again,
just kind of like a tangible resource that maybe helped you or change things.
the resource again, I say, is community.
Yeah.
When I do talk to people, I say my mantra is don't get to the point where you're saying I wish I had. Get to the point you can say I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did call. I'm glad I did stop over. I'm glad I did go give them some time off. I'm glad I did have an awareness or understanding of what you were going through. Because once they're gone, you've lost that opportunity. Too many times we were saying, well, I was going to, and I'm going to get to it sometime. You got to make that time. Just a little bit makes the biggest difference, especially for that caregiver that is feeling lonely a majority of the time.
Yeah, because time does not stop to let you figure it out.
It does not.
You just got to roll with it.
It is Groundhog's Day every single day, and you're going through it. But if you have a little bit of break in time with a quick conversation or a text or whatever, it makes a big, big difference. So that community, I think, is extremely important. I know it's impossible for a lot of people, family, to up and move cross country like I did, put your life in storage and then go back and be there 24/7. But you can take a weekend here and there. You can go for a couple hours just to eat lunch with them. That makes a big difference. Another opportunity, one big thing is that try to find caregivers in your area. They're the ones that understand what you're going through. Tick for tack, helping each other out, having your loved ones meet together, play date, whatever. Those kind of opportunities break up that monotony of the day also. And it's something for you to look forward to as a caregiver. These are just ideas that keep popping in my head, but I recognize we can't do this alone. You can't do this alone. But every little bit of help makes a difference.
And I think, I think community, I just want to add to that and give a personal experience that, my mom was diagnosed, that was 2008, 9, and Facebook groups didn't exist then, and we lived in kind of like middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, and there wasn't the community support groups in person weren't where they were. And I definitely had the challenge that my mom was in her 50s. So there was, that separation of age. But similar to when we talked to Arnie on a previous episode, he's like, well, you just got to keep trying until you find the one. And I ended up on a Yahoo. This was Yahoo email, and it was a Yahoo PPA FTD support group. But the knowledge that I learned and the ability to realize that I wasn't alone, and some of the things that I was feeling overwhelmed with feels less overwhelming when you have that tribe. And I just kind of wanted to echo what you were saying, that like sometimes it's not as easy as one quick Google search. And sometimes you're going to go to a community, it's not going to be the right community, but like they're out there, I guess is my point.
Being able to empathize with somebody that says, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're going through. I don't feel as alone anymore.
Yeah.
I don't.
Larry, thank you so much for being on our episode 5, the last of this particular series. We really appreciate it. And now we can just go to your Facebook or Instagram and hear Norma as much as we want. So,
oh yeah. Oh,
so
she's like Lay's potato chips. You can't watch just one video. You gotta have more than one. So you gotta keep watching
It's
that.
true. It's very true.
Any parting words, Betsy?
Nope. And
Yeah.
I think we all summed it up. Thanks, Larry. Really appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I just want to give a special shout out to our audio engineer here today, Andreas Marin, for helping us get that audio on for you, and Chris Swan as well.